Now we're going to center these things because I remembered how to actually use the alignment tool to center things. And we'll add in that darker or lighter outline around this part. But first let's work on centering this. So I'm going to zoom in with the plus key on my number pad and try to figure out which layers we need to move so it looks like these top 3 layers are going to have to move. So what we do to center it is first select the layer that you want to center, then go to layer and auto crop layer, and now we're going to go to the alignment tool, change relative to and make it image if it's not already. And then you want to go and left click on the piece that you want to center. It'll make this group of boxes around your selection, and then we're going to align it left and right and align it up and down to center it. So we weren't too far off, or at least I wasn't too far off from the center of mine, but it's still nice to have it perfectly centered. So now we're going to do the same for the others. We're just going to select this next layer, go to layer, auto crop layer. We already have the alignment tool selected, so we're just going to click on the layer we want to use here to align. Make sure it's still on image, and then click these 2 buttons here to align left and right and then up and down. Now we're going to do it with the last one. Select it, layer, auto crop layer, left click on it, and then do these 2 things, but I don't think it actually I don't think it did anything when I did that. It should have moved it. Doesn't look like it moved it, so maybe I'm just gonna hide these other layers. Select this layer and then try this again. Now it's moving, so hiding these made it a little bit easier. So now they all should be centered the way that we want them. So now we're going to, one at a time, click on one of these layers, then go to layer, layer to image size, and that'll just undo the cropping that we did earlier. So we're going to do that for each of these layers. Just select it, layer, layer to image size, and again this just gets rid of that cropping that we were only using for aligning it. So last one here, layer to image size. So that should be all centered. And one more thing we can do in the center of this thing is make sort of this gradient right here where it's darker on the bottom and it's lighter on the top, because this part of the rim here is actually sticking out a bit from the rest of it. Like as it gets closer to the center of this emblem, it gets sticks out further away from the rest of the rim, and this part of the rim is basically like where it's pushed in the most towards the car, essentially. And then it gets pushed back away from the car as you get closer to this. So we're going to make this this gradient around here, and we want to make sure we leave a little bit of this darker color, which is around that circle. Or actually, I think we already made it right here. So we just need the gradient around this other part here. So I guess for that we can figure out which layer has this thing. So it's this layer that has this part right here. And we're just going to go to our color selection thing. Make sure your threshold's kind of lower. and select this outer ring. Then we're going to go to select and then grow. 10 pixels is fine. And maybe do another 10 pixels, so grow it again by something like that. This circle actually looks kind of like it's flat right here on the sides, and it doesn't look very good, so we're going to make a new circle. So we're going to forget about this circle, and we're just going to make a new circle. So we'll select your ellipse tool, left click and drag, hold shift to make an actual circle. And we're going to use this instead. We're just going to move this around. We can center it in a minute. Something like this, I guess. And we're going to do select border. And we'll see if this works. Do like 20 pixels. It's about right on this edge, but not on this edge. But I guess we could probably get away with it. Maybe not. I'm going to Control Z that. And we'll just fill this in, I guess, with we're going to want a gradient, so we're going to want this gradient thing. And you kind of want a darker gray. I already kind of selected these earlier. A darker gray and a not quite black color. So two pretty dark colors, but this one can actually probably be a little bit lighter. And then you just want to go right to left at a diagonal, and that will fill in your circle so you have a little more light up here. But I'm going to Control Z that and make this a little lighter and go a bit more at an angle so I get more light at the top and more dark at this angle. So we got that now. Now we're going to want to center it, so we're going to, well actually, which layer was this? Okay, so I did it incorrectly because I did it on this layer. So I'm going to do Control Z until I get rid of this. And we need to make a new layer, so I'm going to right click, new layer, click OK. And now we're going to do the same thing, but now it's on a new layer, so make sure this one's selected. And we're just going to make this gradient again. Something like that. Try again if you want. That's pretty good. So first of all, this is going to have to be below this layer. So I'm going to drag this below this layer. I guess it doesn't have to be, but it's going to be. We can even make it below this layer too. But now, see, like, the only problem is this part's getting colored in by this thing. So we're going to have to delete some of this. But first we need to center it just like we did the rest of the stuff. So we're going to go to Layer, Auto Crop Layer, go to our Align tool. Everything should be set up to image. So just do the left and right thing. Select None. And well, we actually need to select this, so left click on this circle here. It's not actually giving me the boxes that it's supposed to be giving me. So I'm going to just hide these layers real quick. And then select it. So now you should have these boxes. Before you can move it to align it, you need these little boxes. And then we're going to center it. So now it's centered, that's good. We can unhide the rest of these layers. And we're going to go back to color selection, select this thing. It's giving us kind of a weird selection because of the gradient, so I'm going to do Control Z and increase the threshold and then try again. So that should give us all of it. Looks like it did. And we can actually go to layer real quick and just do layer to image size to undo the cropping that we did, and we want to shrink this until it's like here. Shrink our selection until it's like right about here. So we're going to go to select, shrink. It's like 20 or 30 pixels, so I'm going to try 20. And maybe a little more, I guess, like one more pixel. Because the only problem is like the outer circle is a little different than this inner circle, so maybe it wasn't a good idea to try to fix it earlier. Because now it's going to cause some slight problems, but it's not really. Actually, we can fix this pretty easily, so this is going to be fine right here. There are a few like pixels that are going to get colored in incorrectly, but that's fine. So now that we have this selection, we're just going to press delete, and that'll show the black behind it like we wanted. But you can see like these couple pixels are not the correct color. So we're going to go to select and do none. And we can actually take the eraser, I suppose, and it's on 1 pixel for the size, and we can just erase all the pixels that are the wrong color. It's a little tedious, but I think there's not too many in this case, so we don't have to spend too much time correcting our mistake. And sometimes it looks like it doesn't really erase it completely. I always forget like how to make it not do that. Whether it's like switching this to the pixel brush or whatever, I don't remember how to completely, because it seems like there's some opacity to it even though there shouldn't be. Like, see how it's not really removing it completely, it only like just faded it out a bit. It's supposed to be erasing it, and that's not really like what it's doing. So hard edge, does that do it? I think that might be how you do it, is to enable this hard edge option, but I always forget because it's something that like I think should be just default. Like, why would you only want to erase part of it? I mean, sometimes there are cases where you would, but I think in most cases people just want to erase like the whole thing. Because if you just want to like lighten it or darken it, whatever, there's other tools to do that, like dodge and burn and stuff, which we haven't used yet, and we probably won't really use because I'm not really comfortable using those. But yeah, these other ones, they just got like lightened rather than completely removed. So I'm just gonna look through these again, like these right here. That one was probably fine, but alright, I think we're good. So I'm gonna zoom out with the minus key, take a look at it, and that looks pretty decent, like compared to this, where you have this outer thing before the black part. It's pretty close. Not too bad, I would say. Looks nice. I like it. It actually looks pretty good comparatively. So I mean, in this picture, like now we don't really have like a dark color here, but I'm gonna try to add something because it looks a little bland having nothing around this inner part. It looks really like, I don't know, it just doesn't look correct for whatever reason. So we're gonna try to fix that part now that this is all good. I'm happy with this. So we did make a path for this. So I'm going to try to find it. So I'm going to go up here to my paths thing. And I think it's number 9. Like, you can kind of see the shape. Like, each thing has the shape here. And this kind of looks like it. So I'm going to double click it. And there's our path. So, but you can see like the actual lines kind of extend beyond where the path is. So what I'm going to do is, instead of actually using this path, I'm going to right click on this and do path to selection. So that makes it a selection, and now we can do select and shrink by maybe a couple pixels, like 2 or so. And now we have this selection, so I'm going to go back to my layers and figure out what layer this whole thing is on. So it's probably it's this layer right here, layer 26. So I want to select this layer, and we can do a darker color, we could do a lighter color, like I tried a lighter color on this. This is what it looks like. I'm not so sure I like it, but something's better than nothing because it looks kind of boring the way that it is right now. So I'm going to go to my bucket tool now that we have this selection. I switch the color to the, like I just did the background and foreground color switch. So it's that same color we used for the gradient right here. I'm going to give this one a try. So I'm just going to bucket fill on the inside of this thing. And of course it's going to cover everything else up, but that's fine. We're just going to do select and then shrink, and we're going to shrink by maybe 2 pixels. And then just press the delete key, and that'll get rid of all the garbage. And I'm going to do select none. I don't think this is thick enough. Yeah, it's got to be a little bit wider than that. And I think I should have probably only decreased it by 1 pixel the first time. So I'm going to do Control Z a few times. 4 times to be exact. Actually 5 times. It was quite a few times, but I did Control Z until we got the selection back to where that path was. Alternatively, you could just do right click on this, path to selection again, because this is right where we started from. Because what I think I want to do is do select, shrink, and this time do 1 pixel, because it wasn't close enough to this other part for me to be happy with it. So I just did 1 pixel. Now we're going to fill it in. Now we're going to do select, shrink, and I'll try 3 pixels this time, and then delete it, and see if that's any better. Maybe that's too much. Maybe that's a bit too much right there. Yeah, that's a bit too much. So I'm going to Control Z a few times till we get to this point, and then select, shrink, and do 2 pixels, and delete, and then select none. So that looks pretty good. Other than the fact that there's still space between these two things here. So I think what I'm going to try to do is grab the color picker, get this color, and grab the bucket tool and try to fill in this area. And that worked to some extent. Worked pretty well. Except this looks kind of weird, which isn't good, because that's the side we're going to be using as a mirror. And this side looks actually a lot better though. So it's kind of unfortunate that that worked out that way, that this side's the one that looks crappy. So maybe I'm just going to Control Z a bunch of times, and we'll start from the beginning again, because I don't like that. So now this is like the very beginning, and this path is all messed up. So maybe we'll just go back to this path thing here, double click it, go to select, and then none. It may be easier just to adjust the path itself and do it that way, just because that result didn't look very good. So we're going to right click on this and do new path, or nope, duplicate path. So now we have two of the same path, and we can select this one by left clicking it, hold shift, and start selecting these others, just those three, and drag them in a little bit, and then select these on the left side, these four, select one, then hold shift and select the rest, and drag them in a little. Do the same here on this side, select these four, drag it in, hopefully that's going to be okay, and then do these three. Now we still have this color, so we're going to do stroke from path, 2 pixels, line style, make sure it's curved, see what happens. Oh, we still have that's actually the wrong color, so we want to Control Z that, because that's the wrong color. We need a darker color, like we'll just make this one darker, whatever we want, I guess, something like that. And then do stroke path, same settings. Take a look at it. So that looks a little bit cleaner, which is good. Maybe not the color that I want, but actually, I don't know, lighter color, darker color. Kind of like the lighter color in a way. It at least gives it a little more character. It's not so, I don't know, something I just don't like about this color. So I'm going to do Control Z, double click my path again, get the color picker to get this color, and I'm going to change it to something a little lighter, and then click OK, double click my path, stroke path, all the settings should be the same, just click stroke and click on a different tool and then take a look. It doesn't really stand out enough, so I'm gonna have to try a different color here with Control Z, change my color, something lighter. Same steps. Yeah, if I don't like it and I want the darker one, we can change it later. So that's good. It's good for now. So what else do we have to do back here? We're going to take a look. We can make this little other piece here, whatever, this edge. That's in between here. So it's like it's a nice shiny beveled edge here with two darker colors there, so it's a nice light color. So basically we just need a path right here, I guess. So we're going to get the path tool and make ourselves a little path by left clicking and then left clicking again, going to edit and dragging this away a little bit, something like that. Back to design to move this a little if you need to. And we want a nice lighter color, something like this. Stroke the path. Keep all the standard settings. Something like that is decent. we can always do a gradient on this other one because it's kind of like this lighter color towards the inner part, where it's, well, I guess it's darker on the bottom, but we could do a sort of a gradient because to kind of give this a little more life on the inside here. So if we go to the gradient thingy, and we'll start picking some colors, I guess, a lighter color and a darker color. Not too dark though, we don't want it to be like the same as this. And then I wonder if we can just, well, we can probably select that area first. Go to this selection thing and select this area. That's not going to work. Fuzzy select, is that going to work? There we go. That's kind of what I want. It's going to be a little pixelated on the edge, you can see, but now we'll go to the gradient and see what happens. So it at least looks like there's a little more style to it. That's a good sign. It's like we have this darker color leading up to a nice light edge. So I like that. It gives it a little more realistic feel because you have different lighting in different areas, which would be the same as in reality. There's going to be different lighting depending on, you know, where it is. So you don't want to, that's why like a straight color is always kind of a bad idea. It's not going to look as realistic because in reality the light is going to change how everything looks. So we can try to get rid of some of this pixelation a little bit. We can just use that color, go to the pencil tool. I've got mine set to 1 pixel. And just start filling in like this area here. Maybe make this a little darker because as we go down the gradient gets darker. This isn't going to look the best no matter what we do, I don't think. But at least this will reduce the problem a little bit. It's not going to look so terrible, even though it still is not going to look great. From a distance, it actually looks pretty good, so I'm not too upset with that. I think that's a good solution for a temporary fix here. To just go through and darken some of these pixels. Or change the color of them. That looks pretty decent. So we're just going to have to keep making these minor changes here. I'm not going to worry, well, I guess I probably should change the color a little bit because it's starting to not look the way it's supposed to. So we got to keep adjusting the color to slightly lighter every time. It's probably too light. Like this one looks like there's too much contrast, so this needs to be lighter than that. There we go, that looks pretty good, and I don't really mind this like darker part here because it just adds to that transition, I guess. I don't know, we could fix it. It's not the best, I guess, but maybe we'll fix it. Grab sort of, I'm gonna color pick a light color here and just see what happens. Yeah, I guess this probably will fix it to some extent. Maybe make this a little lighter even. Get rid of all these darker pixels that are kind of out of place. That should do it. That looks good. I like that. So just before we go further, I'm just going to save this. This time I'm actually going to change it to 7. Number 7. And save it. That looks nice. I'm actually happy with that. So that's good. That'll give us a nice look on the inside. It's going to look pretty good, I think. We can start doing gradients elsewhere too, just because that looks nice, and like I'm happy with this inner one as well. So let's take a look at this one then. We could try a gradient on this inner part as well, and okay, so let's color pick this color. That looks a little strange. See, it's a blue. It's not supposed to be blue. It's supposed to be gray. So we'll just make a gray color then. And a lighter gray color, okay. So this is the foreground color, and this one's the background color. Try the gradient thing. Well, actually we need to select it first, so go to your fuzzy selection. And go back to layer, whatever it is. $26 was it? Yeah, okay. 26. Select this part. We'll try this gradient. So these are the two colors that I already showed you right here. This one's the background. And we'll just give it a quick test, see what this looks like. I don't think that really changed a whole lot. Still looks pretty similar, so I'm going to do Control-Z and get rid of this selection. So I think for now, we'll call it good for now. We'll just go to File, Save, and we'll think of some other ideas to try to improve this, because I do like how this gradient turned out, as well as this one. Really adds some nice detail to it. So we're going to do File, Save, and continue on. I already named it number 7, so I'm just going to do File, Save. If you didn't do that, do File, Save As, and make sure you save it as number 7. And just replace it.